This is nScreenNoise. My name is Colin Dixon, founder and chief analyst at nScreen Media, and today is August 18th, 2017. Well, virtual MVPDs are continuing to impact the US television market. They don't have a huge number of subscribers, about 3 million according to some estimates, but they are punching above their weight in industry influence. Let's look at Kagan numbers, for example, for pay TV performance in Q2 for an example of why. Kagan says pay TV lost 976,000 subscribers in Q2, which is the worst performance ever, but it is below that magic $1 million subscriber loss market, at least if you're only looking at the quarter. Now, what actually Kagan has done in that number is they've included subscriber additions for DirectTV Now and SlingTV, two of the virtual MVPDs. If you take those numbers out for the full year so far, and that is for the first half, pay television, traditional pay television, has lost 1.8 million subscribers, and that's a big loss indeed. Pretty impressive impact the virtual MVPDs are having already on those apparent numbers. Now, Guy Bisson at Ampere Analysis did a very interesting comparison between virtual pay TV operators and traditional pay TV operators. He basically took the ARPU paid by customers, that is the average amount that people pay to subscribe to those services, and divided it by the number of channels available to them. And what he found was that for traditional operators, about 23 cents a channel of ARPU, that's the number of revenue that was per channel. Now, if you look at that for virtual MVPDs, it's 59 cents per channel. So what he concludes from this data is that actually virtual MVPDs are a bit of a stronger play for the channel providers. And I'm not sure I agree with his conclusions here. There is certainly new evidence that the channel providers are getting more money from virtual MVPDs. Bob Iger said as much, Disney's chairman, in their last financial call. He said they were getting a little bit more from virtual MVPDs. But the way that channels are paid for by virtual MVPDs and traditional MVPDs is very different. When Disney sells to a traditional provider, they sell a full bundle of channels, and they give those for a very good price, but it is a full bundle. So you don't just buy ESPN, you buy 10 different versions of ESPN channels. Virtual MVPDs do not buy those. They just buy the core channels, ESPN and ESPN2, and they pay a premium for that. But I've got to believe that paying for just the channels they want is probably a little bit cheaper than paying for that full bundle. And there's another sting in the tail as well for the channel provider. Even if they get as much from ESPN and ESPN2 in the virtual MVPDs, because those smaller channels don't get distribution through those platforms, not as many people see them, so the ads aren't worth as much. So that's an interesting perspective. And there's another thing that you should bear in mind here. There's very little profit in virtual MVPDs. In fact, some are rumored to be making a loss. If content providers increase their prices, virtual MVPDs have to pass all of that on to their customers. Now, traditional MVPDs are not doing that today. They're absorbing some of that cost. Now, there'll be no room to do that for virtual MVPDs, and what that means is to keep the price down, they would have no option but to throw out a channel that was charging too much. And that isn't good for the channel provider, and consumers may not like it, but they certainly are liking the price of these virtual MVPDs, so they might put up with it. So there's a risk of price pressure here on those channels to keep the price down, and that's something that I don't think channel providers like Disney are used to. And FuboTV, which is the least talked about of the virtual MVPDs, this sports-orientated service, is actually continuing to build value in their package. They just added CBS channels. You can now watch CBS local channels in 30 markets, as well as CBS Sports Pop and CBSN, the news service, at no additional charge for their $60 package. You also get VOD content and TV Everywhere access to CBS apps. And this is something that Fubo has been pursuing pretty strongly. Now you might ask, why do I need that? I can already get to all of those channels through the FuboTV app, but the content providers are putting extra content in those TV Everywhere apps. So for customers that really want to immerse themselves into that experience, Fubo is the place to go, because you can use your Fubo credentials to log into CBS Sports TV app online. And they've also just added all of their NBC properties. So NBC, NBC Sports Network, Golf Channel, Olympic Channel. You can use your Fubo credentials to get into those apps. 35 channels now inside of Fubo will allow you to do TV access. So I don't know why the other virtual MVPDs aren't asking for this, but they probably should be. So lots of important things happening with virtual MVPDs this year, and they're really starting to emerge as an important force in the pay television market in the US, and we will continue to cover them here on nScreenNoise. We'll see you again next time.